Hey guys, how's it going? I hope I am audible. Do let me know in the live chat, please. Okay, great. So let's just wait, to some 5 minutes and see if more people join, and then we'll start right away. Okay, so while we wait for people to join, let's just recap what we learned and discussed yesterday, right, in the workshop. So we started with React, right? We learned the basics of React, such as JSX, and some of the couple of the most commonly used hooks of React, right? Then we learn NextJS basics, such as its folder structure, how it represents the URL, syncs with the URL to the folder structure. Then we did a couple of dummy pages as well to demonstrate that, and we also learned how to get the ID or have dynamic paths and read the URL parameters, such things. So then we also learned about SSG and SSR. So just wait 2 more minutes. I see I'm getting some avocado and some fruits in the chat. Okay, thanks guys. Less than a minute and we'll start. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so today's agenda is recapping of the yesterday's workshop, which we just did. Now we're gonna look into the Chakra UI, how to use it. Basically, we'll build simple pages with Chakra. So we'll build the main and secret page. So the main page will be the page where you'll be actually gonna insert your secret and create the unique URL for it, and the secret page would be the place where we would see the encrypted secret through the URL. So then we'll look at what are APIs and how to build one with Next. Then we'll also look at a little bit into Firestore from Firebase, a little bit of encryption and decryption, and doing the same with Node's crypto module library. Then yeah, we will use that encryption and decryption with our secrets as well. So basically encrypting it while storing and decrypting while showing it to the user. So let's get started, right? So I have opened the yesterday's, so we're just picking right off where we left yesterday. I have the Next.js boilerplate open. So in case you were not able to do it, it's very easy to do. You just have to run npx create next app and give an app name, right? And it will bootstrap next app for you. Right, so I have it open. Now let me start it. It's yeah, next demo, and we will start it with npm run dev. Okay, this should start our server, next server. Great. So now what we'll do is let's remove all of this code from Next.js, right, from our code. So here it is. I'm going to remove everything. Okay, so we have nothing now. So let's start with installing Chakra UI. So Chakra UI is a UI library. It has a lot of a handful of components, elements that you can use to build your UI with. So Chakra is very easy to get started with, and it just has enough of UI components that you need for almost any kind of website. Here you can see all these examples that are built. These are templates that are built with Chakra UI. Cool. So let's see how to install it with Next. So I'll just gonna Google Chakra UI Next.js. There we have it here. And yeah, to install it, we have to run these two commands. Yeah, we can either run npm or with yarn. So I'm just gonna do with npm. Yeah, okay. So we go to the terminal. I'm just opening another terminal to get there. Let me zoom this. Okay. Cool. So I installed the required libraries, npm packages for Chakra. Okay. Yeah. So this is how simple it is to set up. So we just have to install these packages and then just have the Chakra provider from here, right? Chakra UI/React to basically be the topmost component of our app. So this, right, app.js, this is where all of our pages get rendered in this component basically. So what we'll do is we'll import Chakra provider from here and then wrap our component with Chakra provider. So Chakra provider has the necessary context, global styles required for its components to work and look as expected. So yeah, with that we have set up the Chakra UI for us. Yeah, I'm also going to open the this little thing we did yesterday, right? So we're going to design, build the UI just like this. Okay, let's get started with the building of the UI. So we'll first need an nav bar, an input, right? And a button. This would be the only button we'll need, and that would then redirect to another page or just show this in the same page. Okay, great. Yeah, so this home would render on the default page, right? So let's start with the let's use Flex from Chakra UI. Need these things. Okay, I'm gonna get Flex from Chakra UI. So you can see just auto imported it from Chakra UI React. Okay, now let's see. Let's give our let's give this a height of 100 VH so that it covers the entire viewport in height. And to see it actually happen, let's give it a background color of let's go a little dark theme stuff. So I'm gonna give it a gray of 700. Okay, this looks great. Looks great. Okay, now this is done. Let's add another flex for our the nav bar. So we'll have a height of, let's say, 100. Background color, it's gonna look pretty similar. Let's say gray 500. Yeah, so let's put some text. Let's just call our app secrets. Let's see how this comes. Okay, cool. Okay, now let's make it pretty. Right, I guess the height looks a bit lot. Can I give this 100? Then let's center the text, right? Both on the x-axis and the y-axis. Okay, looks pretty good. Let's see. Let's format the text a little bit. So we can use text from Chakra UI as well. I'm just gonna put the secrets in this. Let's make the text size a little big. So like 2x. Okay, it should be font size actually. Okay, it looks cool. Yeah. Okay. I think let's be 500. Yeah, and make the font color white. That'll look good. Let's give it a bit weight. Make it bold maybe. Okay, yeah, looks pretty good. Looks simple. Yeah. Okay, now we have our nav bar, right? So let's below that, let's have our text area, so where we can enter our secret that we need to be encrypted. Yes. Okay. So we also have text area directly from Chakra as well. Okay, let's put that inside of Flex. Yeah, let's give our main Flex direction of column. Okay, and maybe make the text area a little small. Let's give it a width of 600. Okay, maybe even smaller. Okay, so probably because I was zoomed in, so this looks smaller, right? So 600 is fine. Okay. Yeah, so now we have this. Let's make it center, right? Let's give it a width of 100%. will justify the center. Maybe add a little margin to the top. It's kind of stick to the nav bar. Okay, 20 looks a bit more. 10 is enough. Yeah, looks good. Maybe let's make the text area a little high. Let's increase its height, or we can simply do it with the rows as well. Okay, looks fine. Okay, with that we have a text area, and let's have another flex in which we're gonna have a button. Okay, and I'm gonna call it encrypt secret. Okay, let's take this watch, copy the style for this as well, so that comes. Okay, so let's make the margin for the input area for the both top and bottom. So instead of giving both margin top and bottom in Chakra UI, you can do margin X, and that will margin Y, and that will add margin to the top and bottom, because X axis. Okay, let's style the button a little, so we can directly change its color, the font color, right? Let me first change the background color. So I think the purple would suit the darkish theme a little. Okay, let's change the hover effect as well. So to have this sort of hover effects and stuff, you can directly pass it as a prop as well, like this. And we will do 700 maybe. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's change what happens, the background color, when it's active as well. Active 900. So these are the color conventions used in Chakra. So you can give any color, and this will be the intensity of it. Works with most colors. So you can also get all of the information about the colors you can use out of the box with Chakra UI in the documentation as well. Okay. Cool. So let's change the color of the font. White will look good. Okay, great. Okay, now let's change this color as well. So when we type it in text area, by default the font is black. We are unable to see what we're typing properly. So okay, I'm gonna change the color for that as well. Let's white is good. White looks visible. Okay, maybe we're gonna give a placeholder so they know what they have to insert over there. So holder, enter your secret. Okay, I think it's supposed to be an object. Okay, the placeholder works a bit differently. Let's check the documentation. Text area. Okay, it's just placeholder, but okay, I don't know, it did not suggest me. Okay, let's give it placeholder. Again, enter your secret. So every time you need to know something, how to do with a particular component, you can just go ahead, search the docs for the component you're looking for, and these docs are pretty much concise. You can get anything you want over here. Okay, let's see if it's coming. Okay, great. Right, so now we pretty much have this thing, right? We have the main page we need. So what else do we need? Okay, once it is clicked, we need this page as well. So you can see that we have to get to show this kind of URL, right? So we need to be, so we will create this folders or files in a way that this URL would work on our app as well. This structure of the URL, so it's like /secret, and you would have your URL ID and something. Okay, I'm gonna delete this product and product folder because we do not need it. Delete. Okay, we'll delete it. We don't need categories as well. Okay, so we will need a folder called secret. So then we'll have an ID.js inside of it. Then we can access our app like this. Okay, secret JavaScript file ID. Okay. Yeah, let's create the component. Let's say secret page, right? Look like this. Return secret. This is a secret page. So this is simple. Let's test this out. For we can actually access it like this. So we'll go secret. That's how the folder is, under pages, secret, and then any content, any thing that goes over here, we'll consider an ID as kind of like a dynamic path. Let's see. Let's give it 1. Okay, it seems like we did not export it. That's why we're getting this error. Let's export this page, right? Okay, now refreshing. Okay, we have the secret page here. But yeah, let's style this up. Okay. Yeah, so we have this flex right over this flex. Let's have it in a way that it comes in every page as well. So I'm gonna take this flex and put it over here. This should do for now. Just below here, and I'll remove it from here. Let's make it an empty tag. Yeah, sure, we have to import flex. Okay, now this is applied to every component or every page that we are going to create in our app. Similarly, we can have our nav bar in such a way that it also comes in every other page. So yeah, so that way our app kind of looks modular. So what we'll do is we'll create a new folder, src, and we'll have all our components and other stuff in this folder, which then the pages are going to use. Okay, so let's create another folder with the src components, and then we'll create a file, navbar. So const navbar. We are going to return this piece of code from navbar. Let's export it for default navbar. Then we're gonna import it just below here. So yeah, there you see, it will now come in every single page we are going to create. Okay, so we have this page. Let's make it a little good, make it look good, like the UI. Okay, the page we are actually creating is this one, right? Because we are now looking at a secret. What this would be is it'll actually be in the same page. So we'll come back to this later once we have the API and stuff. Okay, now yeah, let's make this look good. Okay, we have the secret is like this. Okay, let's create a flex component and let's give the direction of column again. Now we'll have a text. The secret is okay, we didn't import it. Let's import it. Text. Okay, give it a color white. Instead of text, we can also use heading. So it will just be like replacing head tags, heading tags physically. Okay, you can also specify as what kind of h1 do you want it to render as. Like you can also render it as h3 or h4. Okay, so we have this. Let's yeah, let's center this. Put this under another flex, right? Okay. What we can do is have this over here, right? Then we can have multiple headings and it will just render one below the other. We don't have to keep creating flex again. Okay, now I guess I'm just gonna create a container. Which is going to have the secret. Okay, let's have a text for our secret. Okay, it's barely visible. Let's increase the size of it bit toward accent. Cool. And the color, of course, right? Okay, so let's see how the red looks. Yeah, okay, this also looks good. We'll make the background a little grayish for the secret. Yeah, give a little space. Keep doing this wrong. Yep, margin Y. It's a bit too much. Yeah, cool. Good. Looks good. Okay, maybe we'll add a little bit of margin to the this thing itself, right? To the whole component. There is this page component. Okay, we'll do that. Margin top. 10. Okay, looks good. Okay, now we'll add a button here, which will then redirect them to this page so that they can also create whoever looking at the secret. Let's just add this little warning for them. Okay, we can create another text which will have font size of large. It's gonna have a color, right, 700. Okay, it's not properly visible. Let's go with the lightish shade of gray. Yeah, okay. Okay, I think we're done with this page as well. Then anything else we need to add? Yes, we've got this thing. Yes, we have to have a button. Let's make this a button. Let's copy this. We can later refactor this as well. Okay, here we are. Encrypt a secret. Okay, cool. Let's make this container have a fixed width, right? 200, 300. Yep, this looks good. Okay, moving on. So next, once we click this button, right, we need to be redirected to the main page. So this user, whoever seeing this, can also encrypt a secret they want to. So to do that, we will use a next router. Call this like this, use router. So we're importing use router from next router, right? So now we're gonna write an on-click function. Give a function to our on-click for the button, which is going to do exactly this. So doing push will add this. Basically, we are redirecting them to this path. Now let's see if that works. Gonna click this now. Okay, we redirected. Okay, so I think we're done with this page. Maybe let's add a little bit spacing over here for the button. So these are some common props, right? Like margin, font, width, and some stuff. All of these things, like basically CSS properties that you can directly give to the elements as their props. Okay, so give it a 5. Yeah, looks good. Okay, let's go back to our agenda. So we built the main page and secret page. Okay, next thing is when they try to encrypt a secret, we are going to send it to an API, right? This API is going to get the secret and encrypt and send us back the response. So we can go ahead and understand the APIs and stuff for first. So let's say, for example, you have an app that requires some kind of data that you do not have access to. Let's say you're building a tourism app, and people who want to book for a particular place wants to know the weather of it. Now there are several public APIs that allow you to do that, because if you had to do that on your own, that would be very complicated, as you would have to monitor the temperature of all of the places. So instead, the people who actually do that are going to give you some access to their data. So obviously they cannot give you the access directly. So what they'll do is they'll have something called API. So let's say I'm just gonna try to demonstrate it a bit. This is the okay, that is very small. Okay. Let's say this is the corporation, you know, or the company or the entity that maintains the data. Let me get this to 100%. Okay. So we have an entity over here, right? Weather Corp. Let's say this is a corporation or entity that maintains the data. Who has data of like real-time data about weather of all cities. Okay. Now, in order to give you the access, they'll have a layer between, right? So this would be the layer which they're gonna call API. So now this API would be connected, you know, could connect the Weather Corp's database, and whatever the Corp's database gives, they will then send it back, right? So let's say this is you, or this is our app. We will we'll do a request. Let's say I want weather of a certain city, and then we'll get back the response like so. So the main reason for doing this is to control the access level of access one can get, and to also perform some sort of logic by the corp. So if the corp wants to do some unit conversion, or let's say some sort of projections and stuff, they can do it in their API layer while sending back to us. A good real life analogy that could sync with this is imagine a restaurant, right? And in the restaurant, if you go and place an order, the servant is going to go to the kitchen and tell them what you want, and then once it is done, they will bring it back to you. So now obviously the restaurants cannot give you direct access to kitchen, so you can make it for yourself. So that's why so that's like the similar analogy here. You will request the API will get data from their database and send it back to us. So similarly, we are going to do something similar. So our app will make a API request to our app itself, which is going to store the encrypted data, right? Which is going to encrypt it and then store it. And when the person requests again for the secret, we are going to get the encrypted data from the database and then decrypt it in our API layer and then send it back. So that's the whole picture of how we're gonna do it, right? So there's another concept of REST API, which is basically kind of like a way to design these APIs, right? So it has things like if you make a GET request, so any HTTP request has a verb, right? Almost every API request will have this verb, or they call it HTTP request type, or right method. Basically, it's a request method. So every time we enter a website, we are basically making a GET request to a certain URL. Right, and then the server that sits here, right, on the server that is going to give us back the response based on this. So now this is basically returning HTML. Now what APIs will do is they will most APIs will return a JSON response. So then JSON response is then easy to access, right? You just give the key and you'll get the value for that kind of for the key. So that's kind of how it works with JSON. Okay, so we're going to build a similar API that is going to process some request and then give back the response as required, right? Okay, so now that's out of the way. Let's build a really simple API with Next.js. So building it is really simple. You just have to create a folder, like a file over here, or a folder. So this works similar to how the pages work, because they're in the same directory, except the things under API are going to return a function, right? Which is going to use request and response for that particular request made to this path, and then send some response. So Next.js has given us some a simple API function here. So if we try to access API/hello, we should get this response. Let's see if that's happening or not. So it's /API/hello. See, so if I zoom in, you can see it's returning a JSON response, which says the name is John Doe, which is what here it's being returned. Now we're going to build a similar API, which will actually get some data from the request, right? So how do we access? How should we send data to this? For example, so any data that you send through URL, right? Those are called query parameters. Those can be accessed under request.query. Let me log request.query. And the way you give query parameters is after the URL path, you put question mark. Then the server will know that you are now trying to give query parameters. So I'll just give name equals John Doe. Okay, now let's see what we got response. So you can see here that we have name John Doe, right? That's what we gave here. Let me give Dave. We got Dave as well. So that's how we can access it. So what we'll do is we will get the encrypted message, or just the message. We'll just call it content from the request.query, and we are then going to use it to encrypt. So before we go into encrypt, let's see how we can store the content, right? So to storing content and stuff, we're going to use Firebase's Firestore. Firestore is quite simple to use and understand as well. So how Firestore works is it stores in under something called collections, right? Collections are like if you're familiar with let's say an SQL database, collection would be similar to you would say table, right? So you will have one table, let's say users. So we'll have one collections called users. So under each collection, you can then have documents, right? So documents is now then similar to rows in a table. So this is how it's going to work. So we can have a collection called messages, and under messages we'll have content and other stuff that we need to store, right? Okay, let's give it a try. So for that, we're gonna have to go to the Firebase console. Let's go to Firebase. Okay, I'm gonna log in. Let me do this. Yes, it's me. Okay. Okay, we are here. So once you're here, you'll need to create a project for this. Okay, I'm just gonna call it secrets. We're not gonna need this. Create project. So it will take a few seconds to create a Firebase project for us. So let's look at the documentation for Firestore. So there are multiple ways to access the Firestore. As you can see, it has two versions to access in web, namespace and modular. The modular is something that has happened recently. So what we'll do is we're not gonna access it in the client side, we'll access it in the backend itself. So we're gonna click on Node.js. So this is simple to have Firebase in our app. We're just gonna have to install Firebase admin, then do a little bit of setting things up so that it actually can use our project, right? Okay, I am going to install Firebase admin. Let's see if our app is ready. Yep, it's ready. Okay, we'll have to add an app. So we'll create web. We'll give the same name, secrets, register app. Okay, this is installed. Okay, we now have our app initialized in Firebase. Now, let's configure, Firebase admin with our app. So to do that, you have to click on this gear icon, then click on project settings. Once you're here, we're gonna go to service accounts, and we will we'll generate a private key, which is going to download us. It's going to download a JSON file. Okay, it's done. Let me open it. Okay, we have it over here now. Now, since we're using NextJS, it would not be a good idea to have this in the code itself, because the way NextJS is going to deploy, we will not actually have access to the server, so we can change this file for production and stuff. So this is a very important file. This gives you complete admin access to the Firebase app. So I should try to never commit this JSON file. So yeah, so that's a security thing to keep note of. Okay, so what we'll do is so Firebase would there's another way to initialize Firebase without a JSON as well. So let me show you how. So this is how they suggest to do this. You give them the file path, and it will just initialize it like this. So we're going to take a little different approach. First, let's have this important stuff that used to recognize our project and access it inside an env. We'll create an env at the top level. File env development. So we use env files to store critical keys and secrets like this. Okay, so I actually have a little boilerplate for this, not boilerplate but required things. Okay, so just copy paste this. I'm gonna have to replace this with the current one. Okay, project ID, this one. private key. We don't need we need private key. This entire thing, this is a bit long. Then okay, it should all be in one line. Let's do that. So I'm just gonna use the one you had here. So I'll just use this project. Okay. Now we have the env files set up, env variables, right? Yeah, let's go ahead and initialize the Firebase admin. So let's keep configurations like initialization configurations like admin and SDKs under a folder called lib, right? This would how most people do as well. And let's keep everything modular. It helps us keep everything modular. I'm gonna call this Firebase admin. Okay, so I'm gonna import every export from Firebase as admin like this. Okay, I'm gonna put our initialization inside a try catch. So as you can see, they telling to do it like this. We'll do a very similar way. Admin initialize app and credentials, credential admin. Yeah, so this would be admin credential cert, and here we're going to pass the options. Okay, this autocorrect is pretty right, but we do not have project. Do we have project ID? Okay, there is. Okay. We do not need project ID. We need project key. Firebase project key. We're gonna have to do a little thing. We're gonna replace back. Put a little. Yep. So what we're doing is, so when this is loaded into the env is loaded into the project, it's going to have the \n escaped like this. So we're gonna replace it with proper \n without the escape characters. If we do not do that, it will not read the project key properly. Okay, then we'll add project ID as well. Client email. Okay. Right. Cool. We'll also need to initialize some other stuff like service account ID. Firebase service account ID, cool, and the project ID. Okay, cool. So we're done with initialization. We just need to handle a little bit of error handling. Since we're using NextJS or this kind of dev server, this code gonna run every time there's been a refresh. So this could throw an error where it says, hey, Firebase is already initialized. You're trying to initialize it again. So we're just going to handle that kind of error like this. If error message includes already exists. If it doesn't include this, then we're going to throw the error, or else we'll just do nothing. Yep. So that's a little bit of error handling. So we'll export the admin by default. We'll also need to create the instance. So here you can see we are getting the DB like this. You have, once it's initialized, we can get it like this. Yeah, so this suggestion is correct. We can go ahead with this. Okay, now we have access to the file store. Okay, so what I'll do now is open the Safari, because that's where I have this Firebase account that I've pasted in the NV. Let me get this. Okay. Secrets. So initially you would need to enable the Firestore first. Have to go to Firestore, create database, production mode, yeah. Then choose a region that would be near for us. Asia Southeast seems nearby. So that will initialize the cloud storage for us, Cloud Firebase. I'm just gonna drop this collection, so we can start brand new. Okay, so we don't have any collections over here. Keep getting this. Just gonna don't need Brave, I think. We'll use Safari itself. Okay. Let's see if this works now, right? Let's try to create a document under collection messages. So we have our API here. Skipping the content, gonna access the DB. So which collection do we want to insert this data, right? We'll call add. What do we want to add? We just want to add content for now. Okay, now localhost 3000 API messages content test. I missed something. Oh, it's Aloha over there, right? Firebase project key. Okay, let's debug this. It's a private key. Okay, once we have modified env, we would need to restart the server. Let's do that. I'm killed and restarted it. So I think this should be private key. Invalid PM formatted message. What did I miss? Just gonna copy paste it once again. Let's see if that fixes. Right key. Okay, it's working. So let's refresh this and see if we have the insertion. Yep, there we go. We are now adding stuff to the Firestore database. Okay, I see that we're running out of time. Let's try to wrap this as quick as possible. Okay, so now we're able to add, create documents inside database under collection messages. Okay, now let's integrate this with the front end, right? Okay, so we have over here. So let's make one little change to the API, right? Instead of hello, let's go with messages. Gonna copy paste the same over here. Okay. So instead of having it in request query, we can also do request.body. So now we would have to make a post request. So now this handler, right, messages, would only process the requests that are made to /messages, but so it will process all of the kind of request regardless of which method. So we'd have to handle by ourselves for which kind of method do you want to run what kind of code. So when it's a post request, we are going to create a message with content, right? All right. Okay, let me turn on the light on a second. Okay, cool. So let's test if the post request works. So I am going to use a very little tool called curl. So I hope curl, I remember curl's also available on Windows PowerShell as well. So you can just run this command to test the post requests. Gonna be API/messages. So whenever we are passing data like this option with -d, it will automatically assume that the request that we're making is going to be of post request. So let's say content equals to test from post. Okay, so we're returning the same kind of response to everything. Okay, so generally the convention is when you're creating a record in a database or any kind of record, you would return the status as 2 or 1. So any API response starting from 200 would generally be considered the request has been successful with what it was supposed to do. I will just return the content that was sent to us. So now let's see if the API request actually worked, the post request. Yep, we have test from post. Okay, now let's do this same thing from here, where we're actually in typing the secret. Just removing the empty tags. Okay, now what we'll do is, this is a quite right suggestion. This was what I was gonna do. So we will now use the use state to basically store the secret as the type, and then use the same when actually making an API request to create the the secret basically. Okay, let's import it. This suggestion did not do the auto import. Okay, initial state is going to be empty. So let's put a placeholder, event handler to our text area on change. Okay, and the value is content. Let's also create a handler. Create secret. Let's have this door button. Let's see if we're setting the content properly and it's able to log it. Okay, let's go to the main page where we have the input. Click on encrypt. Okay, we are able to store it properly and access it. Now let's make so this fetch things are usually available in most of the browsers, but we still do not have to worry since we have bundlers and stuff set up, so it will still be created or still work. Okay, now let's do this. So in this object we can pass what kind of method and what kind of stuff and other stuff we want to give. So yeah, method is going to be post, and we also need to set headers such as, hey, we are sending a content type as JSON, right? Then we're actually gonna pass the body. So here we're accessing the requested body, right? So that's where this comes in. We're gonna put body, we're gonna stringify it, we're gonna pass the content. And so when we make use functions like fetch and stuff, they actually return promise. So my editor is my IDE is giving me the warning that promise return from fetch is ignored. So how do we handle it? So basically promise is something that kind of tells you that something is going to happen or could happen in the future. So you could handle it with a then and a catch. So under then you'll give a callback that will do its work when it's the promise is resolved, and catch when the promise gets rejected. Usually the catch would happen if there was an error in the function we just called. We're just gonna pass an arrow function to it, res dot JSON. Let's console log the res. I guess this is also this person's a promise. So we can also add then over here. So now we have another. This would be the formatted res, right? So ideally all requests would be in string, but now we are passing it as a JSON. So let's log this res over here. See what's happening now. Okay, let's secret from browser, res is undefined. Okay, but let's see if we're able to add it to the database. Okay, we were able to add it, but somehow the res was not yep. So we need to return the promise to the next. Now it will work. Now we'll get the proper response. There we go. We have a response that has content just as we're sending it from here. Okay. Okay, now let's since now that we have this, let's show them that, hey, it has been sent, and you can view it at here. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll maintain a state in our home page to say that a secret has been generated, right? Const, let's just say secret created, set secret created, and we'll give the initial value false. Okay. Yeah, so in here, instead of text area, so remember how we can have JSX or expressions within JSX as well. So we will do something like this. If secret is created, then we will have a container that says that has a text that says secret is generated, secret is created. Here's the link. Here's the link. So this would be, we will later replace it with the secret that will be with the link that will create to access it. Yep, this session is quite right, but what we'll do is instead of localhost 3000, we'll put window host location dot host. So this would give where the website is. So what to do if secret is not created? We will display the text area. Let's see. Secret try to. Okay, we need to set the state as well, since once the response is created, set secret created true. Let's try it again. Count1 variable container. Okay, this error scares me. Secret is created. Here is the link. Okay, now we just need to get ID from the backend now. Okay, cool. Okay. Okay, now let's learn, a little bit about encryption, right? Yeah, so we use encryption when we want to store some data in a way that can be only accessed by certain people, right? So generally we can encrypt plain text, right? This is plain text. Plain text would be the actual text that you would want to basically encrypt it. So to encrypt, while encrypting, you would generally have a key that you would give to the encryption algorithm. So then it becomes, encrypted data. So let's say you had a text like hello world. It would then look something like some sort of gibberish that it's very hard, that would be impossible for humans to decrypt it without the key. So now we're going to use a very popular algorithm called AES 256 to encrypt our stuff, right? To encrypt the secret that the users are giving us. We're going to encrypt it in such a way that even we cannot access it, even though we are actually storing the encrypted content without the URL. So let's, so the way AES 256 works is it takes 3 inputs an initial vector, or just call it IV, and then a key, and then the text or plain text that we actually want it to encrypt. So those are the three things it takes, and it would also need the same thing to decrypt as well. So this is encryption, and decryption would be the reverse process of it, where we have this content, and we have a key, and we have an IV, and it gives us the actual original text. So let's see how we can do this. So Node.js comes with a module called crypto library crypto, which has several functions that we can use to create cipher and decipher. So basically we will need a cipher, which is going to be something that will encrypt our content, and then we will need to create a decipher that's going to decrypt it. Yep, so let's get to it. Let me create in here, right? Let's directly encrypt it over here. I'm gonna create a function just above it. Encrypt message. It's going to take a message. Yep, we'll do something very similar. Okay, so like we spoke, we will need first an IV and key, right? So we'll create an IV, a random IV. We'll use crypto random bytes. Let me post random bytes from crypto. Let's use it like this. Those who need a key, random key, which is going to be size of 32. So what random bytes does is it gives us basically a random, just what it does, what it says it does. It gives us random bytes based on the size we give it. Okay, now we have our IV and key, and we also have our message from the function, right? So let's create a cipher. This suggestion is right. We'll go with this. We will import create cipher IV from crypto. Let's see if now we have this. We will then call cipher update. So we give it the stuff we want. We want it to the text we want it to basically encrypt, right? And let's store this somewhere. So this is now encrypted. The final thing we need to do is this is not completely encrypted yet, so we just need to do one last thing, is to final cipher. We'll have to concatenate the buffer. Encrypted cipher final. Yep, looks correct. Now we will return the IV and the key, everything we just generated. So the stuff we generated are in like buffer. So buffer or bytes would be, the addresses or binary or representation. So those stuff we cannot, it's not a good idea to store it directly in the DB. So we're just gonna convert it into string, both IV and key, and as well as there's no, we do need to return the encrypted text. That would be final. Let's test this function out with our API. Okay, then we'll log the same. Make the request. Okay, you can see we have IV, key, and encrypted text. So the encrypted text, it seems like we did not convert it to string. Hex. Let's try it again. Okay, cool, everything's in text now. Now what we're going to do is instead of storing the content directly, we'll store the encrypted text and the IV. Okay, so if you see the Firebase database over here, that all of the documents have an automatically generated IDs. So that's what happens when you create the collection with add, right? Instead of that, we can have our own ID. Instead of add, we're going to have call the doc, and then we'll pass in IV, and we'll call set. Here we will give the encrypted text and IV. So now what we're doing is we're creating a document on Firebase with this key, right? The keys are essentially the primary things that are used to fetch a document, right? So those are like primary keys, or yeah, kind of like that, identifiers for the document. To that, we're setting the encrypted text. We don't need to set IV since it's itself over here. Okay, so that should store it, and we will return the IV and the key, which we'll use to create a URL, right, in the front end. Okay, let's check this out again. Let's give it a go. Okay, so we have IV, we have key. Let's check in Firebase. Okay, we have encrypted text, and this is no longer generated from Firebase. Okay, so encryption is done. Now let's work on decrypting it. Now to decrypt, we will need to convert the given IV, key, and message to buffer. So let's do that. Const IV buffer from IV. So buffer is again an object that is globally available. Now from this IV string, we're going to create a buffer, and the encoding we're using is hex. Similarly, we will also do it for key. Buffer from key. Awesome. Now let's create a decipher function, or an object that we actually need to basically decrypt the message. I guess we should also need to convert the message to buffer. Buffer from message hex. Okay, we have message buffer, IV buffer, key buffer, all of them buffered from the the textual format. Now let's create the decipher. So we have create decipher. Wait, I think it's create decipher IV. Should have it from crypto. Yep. Create decipher IV. The algorithm is AES 256 CBC, like the one we talked about. Key buffer, IV buffer, all good. Now let's decrypt it. Okay, this is okay. We'll go with this, and now we actually need to get the buffer, concatenated buffer basically, or also call it final. Yeah, then we will return final to string with the hex, or maybe it's not necessary. Okay, we have the decrypt function. Now in the messages, let's add another handle for get request. So basically we will fetch it in a way, we'll give the IV and key in the URL, and while fetching back we're going to decrypt and send it back. Yes, but except for only getting the IV and key. Now we're gonna try to decrypt the text message, decrypt message, IV key. We do need to get the encrypted text, so okay. Now let's get the message from Firebase storage. Okay, let's see, const encrypted message document db collection message doc iv. This is correct. Let's make this function async. So yeah, don't have it. We'll need to call get as well. So if we just do doc, it will only gonna give us the reference for it, but only when we call .get, we're actually gonna get the document that's present at this that has this key. Okay, so we'll also need to handle if there is no encrypted message doc with that given thing, right? We then gonna return rs dot status of 4 JSON error message not found. Okay, then we're gonna decrypt message with encrypt message doc. I think we have to call a doc function on it so that we get the doc and we can access our data with like this encrypted text. Okay, I think we decrypted the message now. Now we can simply send it back as a response. 200 JSON decrypted message. Okay, let's see if this works, right? So let's open. Oh, I think this got closed. Probably because we ran out of memory. Okay, I'm just gonna zoom this up, make it big. Okay. It's still running though. Yep. Okay, let's make a post request. Okay, so by this we should be able to access it. API messages IV. This is IV. Key. Encrypted message doc is not a function, it says. Okay, let's see what we're doing wrong here. It says it's not a function. Yeah, my bad. So this should be data. Let's try it again. Bad decrypt. I guess we did something wrong in the decrypt message. Let's see. What have we done here? We have getting the IV buffer, key buffer. Got the key, IV, server updates. This is buffer. Okay, get the decrypted. Do the concat. And then we're doing final. Okay, this looks right to me. Sure, what we're doing wrong here. Yeah, so we should be sending message first. Okay, message, then key, then IV. Okay, we were able to decrypt it successfully. Now let's build the URL and then show it in the UI as well. Then we'll finish. Well, then we'll wrap this workshop. Cool. Yeah, so let's go to the main page. Secret created. Let's just set the response in the use state. So once we do this, let's set response with the response we actually got. So let's see what we're getting. Hello. Okay, so we're getting the IV and the key. Let's once it is changed, secret, the ID is going to be rest.iv, and it's gonna be key equals to rest.key. Okay, that should do it. Yep. Now let's make this a link. Actually, we have a link. I think we have a link from React, Chakra UI. We'll give this href over there as well. Okay, now this is clickable. If I go here, it takes me to here. Now we actually have to fetch the actual secret here. Let's do that. So we must remember that you can access the query parameters in this way. Let's do that. Along with ID, we also need key that we're sending. Now if you remember, you must remember that we can use effect in such fashion that it will only run once this page is loaded. So once it's loaded, we're going to do an API request to API/messages. So you must remember that this is how we can do the query parameters in the URL. So this is a get request. The request.query gonna have the query parameters sent to the URL. So we'll do this. We'll also need to set up what method we're using and the headers as well. Okay, once that gets let's set a message, right? Message. It's going to have a empty string as default. So once we get the response, let's call JSON. So we're converting it into JSON. Then we're gonna set message res dot decrypted message. Great, that should do it. And we should show here secret, message. Yep, this should work. We can give this as well, since they can change as per URL, right? Okay, let's check this out. Load. I think let's check the response. What's happening? Okay, it says valid, not valid document path. So that would mean this IV is not correct, it seems. Okay, let's review this. It should be IV. Okay, let's try again. Okay, we have the same error. Cannot read properties of encrypted text. Where is it? Is it not encrypted text? It is. Yes, let's figure this thing out. Let's just try to console log what we're getting in the encrypted message doc. Okay, I think the URL is not getting properly from homepage. Let's check this thing. Right, so need to give this, and this over here should work. Awesome. Okay, now another thing is, as soon as the page loads, we might not have this properly in string. So just gonna put an if only ID and key are there, only do it, then only just fetch it. Let's check this out. Great. All right, so we just built an app where we can share encrypted messages like so. Hey, how's it going? Encrypt it. You can then copy paste this, send this link to anyone, and they will be able to see it, that encrypted text. You just need to add one more thing, is as soon as it is read, we will need to delete the document from Firestore. Okay. So that's it, guys. I think we should end it now, since we took almost twice as time as we should have been taken. Cool. So thank you all for being here. I hope this was helpful, and we are going to post a little challenge regarding this on Discord as well, on which doing you can get our merch delivered to you. The top 3 submissions will get that. The criteria would be the code quality and the actual working of the functionality. Yep, so we will post that. We will post the challenge in Discord. Great. All right, that's it, guys. Bye everyone, take care, see you.